Hello, my name is Lev, and today I'm going to present to you our new product, which is called TrueConf Group. You can see it over here. It is a hardware-based video conferencing endpoint, which supports Full HD video, has very powerful internals, fully supports SIP and H323 protocols, supports multiple screens, has very nice UI, which is controlled using this remote controller, with a lot of functions available with a single push. This new codec is very versatile. It allows to connect any USB peripherals you already have or might have in your room. So you are free to choose the cameras, you are free to choose speakers or speakerphones or microphone arrays, whatever you want to have in your room. It is possible to connect this AV equipment directly to this PC-based endpoint. And it is very important that this new solution is PC-based because it is running on a Linux platform. That makes possible for system integrators to create their own video codecs on their own hardware and on their own set of AV equipment for their tasks based on this Linux-based software. However, it is also possible to order this TrueConf Group video codec as a kit directly from our website. So let me tell you in more details about this new solution. I will show you the interface. I will give you a short demonstration of its functionality. So let's go. I will use the remote controller for this demonstration. So once I click any button, it immediately wakes up the device, which also supports standby mode and can sleep if it is not used. So once the device, the endpoint, has waken up, we can use it. So we can control with the remote controller the PTZ functions of our camera, but if we want to call someone or access settings, we have to go to the menu. This is the main menu. We can access 4 main settings. So first of all, we can dial out any endpoint by means of entering its IP address and selecting the protocol between H323 and SIP. If we don't know the IP address of the endpoint we would like to call out, we can access address book. So we need to add in advance contacts in the address book, which can be any other 323 and or SIP based video conferencing endpoints, or gatekeepers, or MCUs, or virtual rooms. So that's quite simple, like in any other endpoint. Basically, we designed this new product to meet the requirements of solutions like Polycom Real Presence 300 and 500 series. So if you have such endpoints in your room, so it will be very easier for you to learn how to use TrueConf Group endpoint. We also have the call history, which we can use to quickly call back any conference or endpoint we used to have before. So it also shows us the duration of a call and some basic statistics and IP addresses of the previous contacts we called from this endpoint. Okay, so let's proceed to the configuration settings of the endpoint. So we have a lot of settings here. The most important part is call settings. So the automatic answer or automatic mute when we receive a call can be accessed here. General call setting also allows us to, for example, connect endpoint to existing MCU or gatekeeper by means of SIP or 323 protocols. Here we can also set up the internal MCU, how it should handle multi-point layouts, etc. Next one is audio settings. So there is a very basic menu for codecs, so we can enable or disable codecs we'd like our endpoint to use. Quite simple here. The next section is very important. So as I said, we can select any USB device or analog device as audio input. So when we connect the equipment to the endpoint, it automatically lists the available inputs in this menu. So I can change the microphone in a few seconds, and we see in real time that microphone is working fine. We see the bar. We can also adjust a little bit the gain, and enable such important features like noise cancellation and echo cancellation here. We can also select in real time the audio output device. So again, we can list all available outputs and can select the one we need. So let's check this out. So it's quite easy to make some basic troubleshooting of the endpoint by using a remote controller. So we have also a diagnostic here which summarize the things we did right now, so we can see the microphone level in real time and play back some audio to check that speakers are selected correctly. So the next section is video. It also very versatile. So we can select here inputs and outputs. We can select the default video resolution we have to capture from the camera. So in our case, we are using the maximum quality, so we have 1080p 50 frames per second here enabled. Like in audio, we also can select video codecs the endpoint should use. So you can see from this menu that all new codecs are supported, including H.265, which is the newest video conferencing codec, which allows to significantly reduce the bandwidth between the endpoint and other system. It also supports SVC, H.264 SVC, so it can easily speak with MCUs, with latest generation of MCUs from Cisco Poly, for example. And of course, Endpoint supports old codecs like H.263 and H.261 to provide back compatibility with the legacy equipment. We can also add here we can also add a second screen to the endpoint, so it supports two screens, and we can select which output on the codec we have to use for the main screen and for the secondary screen. Here we can set up some limitations for bandwidth, for shaping of the video traffic, and select the profile for quality and bandwidth usage, and etc. Another important section is network settings. So here we, like on any other endpoint, we can select some basic network connectivity settings, like to use DHCP or to use manual auto setup IP address manually. Yes, I'd like to exit this menu. Here we also have advanced settings for 3-to-3 and SIP. So we can connect to a gatekeeper, we can set up NAT traversal and enter extensions which can be used to address this endpoint. The same for SIP. It is also possible to broadcast and output the video endpoint displays on the screen to some other platforms using this menu. We can also connect to Active Directory to receive the contacts for the address book. And the last section is for HTTP access. So the codec, of course, has the built-in web server, and it is possible to control it not only from the remote controller but using a web browser. Okay. Next settings is about recordings. So we have regular HDD inside this codec, so we can record all conferences which happens on it. We can select layouts which should be recorded. So a lot of settings which cover recordings is available. The next section is about streaming. We, for example, can enter here the URL, the address of any streaming platform. It would be YouTube or Vovza, and output the video and content of the conference outside to some streaming platform. We can also broadcast information about available streams to devices and solutions which supports SAP protocol. The next section is about system preferences. That's quite easy. We can set up the password which will be asked every time we'd like to play with the settings on the endpoint. So right now we don't have any password, so we can do whatever we want. But if we'd like to protect the endpoint from end users, it might be useful. Here as well we can change the language and set up date and time. The next section is about power save settings. So we can set up the period of time after which the endpoint have to go to sleep. And some other additional settings, which devices and how we have to turn off during their sleep. And the last one is about the status of the endpoint. So it shows us its IP address, the active connections to SIP server or MCU over SIP or 323 protocol. And here we can also check the version of the endpoint in about settings. Yeah, here it is. Okay, let me demonstrate you TrueConf group in action. So here we have another endpoint from Cisco, which is called E20. So I will use it to make a call. So that's quite easy thing to do. So I want to go to the address book, and I have entered the Cisco IP address in address book before. I don't want to enter it manually. This is boring. So all I need to do is just to press OK to initiate the call. That's simple. In a few seconds we are connected. So Cisco do not support Full HD on this device. We can see the live video 30 or 60 frames per second depending on the endpoint we're calling to. It's very easy to access the statistics, so just a single button. Here we see all the information about incoming and outgoing streams. I can change layout by pressing a dedicated button. Let me disable the statistics first. So this is very easy and very fast interface. So immediately after I press the action, it's happened. So this is cool. So let me show you how to share the content using this endpoint. So endpoint has the built-in capture card. We can send the video using HDMI output from any laptop, and it will be transcoded into the content stream on the endpoint. Or it is also possible to connect a flash drive as a presentation to the endpoint and to send slides directly from the endpoint. So here I have my flash drive. I connect it to the endpoint, and all I have to do is press the content button on the remote controller. The endpoint understands that I have inserted the flash drive to the endpoint, so it's already listed to me the folders available on my drive. So here is the presentation. It is possible to read the PowerPoint files or PDF files. Here I have the PDF file. So that's it. Just a single click. Immediately we start to send the presentation into our conference, and we can change layouts easily. So this is how the content sharing is working. Thank you for watching. This was a demonstration of our new room solution called TrueConf Group. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them. Just contact us. And that's it. Stay tuned. Thank you.